Fasten your seatbelts, my friends. There is an unbelievable amount of art that has come out in the last 72 hours since we last hosted this program. It is unbelievable. As art was coming out, I was just starting to say, stop, no more. I can't cover everything. I can't cover everything. Like, it's incredible. So, welcome back. Artist Journal, September 11th, 2023. Broadcasting to the world from deep in inner space in Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and I welcome you back. I'm sure you recognize this artist. It is RJ. RJ doing what I suspect, if I had more time, which I don't, I would look up the Uncanny Valley, because this feels like, it's different. You don't recognize it, but it feels familiar. That's kind of how this feels. And again, remember RJ and myself, at least myself and seemingly RJ in that last work that we were looking at, like to call it spectral pastiche here. This idea that you take an artist, let's say Edward Hopper, as RJ likes to do, you put it into Midjourney, or you just do Midjourney, make a new work of art of Edward Hopper, and then you get the result, and then you keep looking and looking until you find one you like, and then when you do, you use that as a source for a work, and that is what we're calling spectral pastiche. It is like pastiche, but it's AI created pastiche, so it's not a direct off a AI created work, let's say. So that is what I suspect is going on here. Other than that, it's the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light that we are all too familiar with in RJ's work. Remember the chair just from the other day that was looking on the sea, that beautiful work? And here you have like the light of what is a motel, this light of the motel and this mysterious machine going through RGB, right? So everything means something with RJ, and just this gorgeous color here. An interesting parking lot stripe here with those two little pixels, just a little bit of roughness there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. A little bit of roughness there, and just an incredibly poetic work. There were so many works to choose from in this, like in today's episode. This one, though, I have to say, just for that reptilian instant poetry, this one really just captured my imagination. So gorgeous work by RJ. It is an edition of 100. So it is a larger edition, going for only $1.67, 2 Tezos 50. And how many are left here? There are 72 left. And, when I see this, I just think to myself, like, is this like the golden age of comics when they were like 10 cents each? And at the time, you probably thought, these might be worth something, but you just didn't know because they're only 10 cents and you had to wait 40 or 50 years. You do wonder what a work like this is going to be worth in 50 years. If not nothing, if it's worth something, it could be worth a lot. It's just fun to think about. Who knows? Not financial advice, of course. And here's just another one. So it looks like playing off of David Hockney's The Splash. So also posted by RJ here. And Yuri is waiting for another Hockney there. So a nice pink actual border here. So just gorgeous color here. I assume that's The Splash here. But maybe we'd have to bring it up. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait for another episode here. But just really, again, spectral pastiche, as we like to call it here. Big thank you for the collect here from Magician, also known as, I'm tempted to call Magician, on this AI artwork. This almost looks like a magician here, the Sybil. So maybe that's a perfect work. So thank you for 25 Tezos on secondary, part of some AI works I was working on, remixing works from the Screen Memory series. And here I just posted this about an hour ago. There are 5 minted awesomely on Zora. Free mint, 25 women who forgot the camera captures all. So this is a promoted story. So this is a screenshot of those kind of trashy links you see at the bottom of news articles. And yeah, I'm just having a ton of fun with this series here. So again, free mint on Zora. Thank you for the collects, all 5 of you out there so far. Huge show tonight. Huge special, Artist Journal special Excited to host a special spaces with Xerox and Sabato on the Keith Haring NFT story. And yes, Timothy Leary is involved. How to make a real fake Keith Haring with Sabato and Xerox. A lot of people going to this already. So again, that's tonight. That's tonight in Europe or Asia, but this morning, maybe 11:30 in New York, and early, maybe 9:30 or something in LA. So that is happening. And just to give you a clue of what it's about, I mean, Sabato minted this work, which you might remember from last episode, looks very similar to that Keith Haring we were looking at in the news article. I think it was called Outland, the name of Outland.art, perhaps, the name of that website. So this is called Untitled Number 1, April 16th, 1987, by Keith Haring, a forgery. And just to give you guys a clue of what we're talking about in this space today, it was inevitable. There would come a time where the drawing exercise would require me to produce a forgery. That time is now. Christie's is about to auction 5 NFTs of 5 recently discovered pixel art drawings by Keith Haring. It said he made them on an Amiga gifted by Timothy Leary back in 1987. Untitled Number 1 stuck out because of the noisy gradient fill, a strange detail that also didn't escape the attention of Xerox, whose concurrent PDF work, No Way These Keith Harings Are Real, looks into the history of the pixel drawing, its provenance, and conservation. So, excellently written description here. That is basically, I think, what we're going to be talking about today. They've done a ton of research on this, and it should be super interesting. So that should be great. Last episode comments. Human Boy, great episode. Thank you. I'm also thrilled you chose to upload to Twitter as well. I watch on YouTube, though, so it can help with your views and spreading the channel. And hopefully the monetization. You know, very quickly on the monetization, YouTube, after you hit 1,000 subscribers, you are allowed to monetize. I've decided not to so far. I was talking to my mom, and we were discussing it, and I was like, do you get commercials when you watch this? And she said no, and she is not a subscriber to YouTube. So to me, it's not really worth getting $1 an episode, and then everybody has ads. So there's no monetization yet. However, my art sells better as a result of doing this, show. As you see, I often, if there's news on my work, I often put it right near the start there. So that is basically the monetization as it stands, and we'll see. I have an open mind, but I'm really not eager to put a bunch of ads at the start of this YouTube. If you are getting ads, let me know. So thank you for the comment, and thank you. I appreciate you thinking about that. As you always say, though, great to be multi-platform. That's so true. And it was someone else's idea. I thought about it a couple of months ago, actually, when I signed up to Twitter Blue. I was like, I'm going to put videos on Twitter, and I just forgot to do it after a couple of days of not doing it. And someone said you should do it. I did it. And it is true. It's great to be multi-platform. You frankly never know, and the numbers look great. And really, thanks so much for sharing my work on today's episode. You're welcome. There's another work in today's episode. The work from that post will be the next mint. Actually, I'm so glad you enjoy it. When I was creating it, I was imagining it as a piece of paper, so you're spot on. I've been trying to learn more movement and gift making, and these are the results, and I'm very pleased with. Still lots to learn. Well, stay humble, Human Boy. Great to hear from you. PP Universal. It's Poco, it is very valuable to laugh at yourself, and absolutely, always, absolutely. There's a quote that this probably isn't the right attribution. I want to say it's like Bono quoting his wife. Life's too serious to take too seriously. I'm sure someone else probably came up with that, but it's possible. I don't know the attribution, but yeah, exactly. And you can't take yourself too seriously, and you have to be able to laugh at yourself. If you can't, I don't think I'd be doing this show, right? Because, I couldn't put out this much content and then be totally, freaking out over everything. So yes, absolutely, you have to laugh at yourself. Hugo Charvo, thanks for the highlight. You are welcome. Rada, happy to not miss this one. I'm collecting now, absolutely. And the show before, like the Thursday show, was unbelievable for collecting as well. Marcel Muntianu, part of the crew, part of the pirate ship of the imagination. Welcome aboard, Marcel. I think we may have more work by you, but I'm not exactly sure. Troika means tree or something, kind of troika of horses, or it can mean grade 3 at school slang. Thank you. Morde Spiral. Great as always. Thank you. Santiago Iscodal. Thank you for the comment. And Kit Lowe, exactly. I was thinking of George Condo in that physical work near the end that looked kind of cubist. That is exactly who I was thinking of. TezQuake. So Morocco, this is happening, and I saw this post by Horo Mox, rising the red flag again, this time for the Moroccan earthquake rescue. So the key thing here is to put the address, Morocco's relief wallet address, and then you can put the hashtag TezQuake Aid. Just go to TezQuake Aid on Twitter or X. So, and apart from the humanitarian good this does, I think this also does very good for the scene if there is an attempt at mass adoption, or if we want that, it'll probably be inevitable. One would think one way or another, digital assets, of course, people are going to buy and sell. But I think it would help the space enormously. Let's just say to upset that interpretation of it kind of being crypto degens, the NFT scene being wrapped up in it. Hey, if one of the great things this scene can do is raise money with digital assets. And we saw it, remember Uxine raising thousands and thousands for the Turkey earthquake? So TezQuake Aid hashtag, and go to their Twitter to find the wallet. And here is that. This is a beautiful work, by the way, this red flag. It's a really brilliant work by Horomox. So red flag for TezQuake Aid. Ed Marola is broadcasting on Twitter, and so that is very exciting. And he's doing it for the Tez vending machine. So I think he made a one of one, probably. Or he made some sort of work for the Tez vending machine. He's going to do a takeover. The Tez vending machine is welcoming the Purple Pixel Prince to the machine this Thursday. And there's going to be editions held back for the last 2 years, spanning his artistic career, including one of ones. So very cool there. And yeah, the Pixel Network, I have the domain pixelnetwork.art, and we're thrilled with that domain. So yeah, just got to put a page up and get our feeds going. Shouldn't be a ton of work, but of course you got to make time for that within everything else. So let's just look at some of the comments here. Since a lot of people are talking about 0-1 this weekend, this is Robness V2 or official. Since a lot of the OGs, original gangsters, are talking about money and getting paid, here's an anvil drop on their heads about economics in 0-1. So of course, 0-1, which I've never used, is just about trading, I think, and not buying and selling. Avalanche's market cap is $3.5 billion untapped. If unlocked, another generation of digital artists have exposure to that. And it kind of comes back to this idea, because of course 0-1 is on the Avalanche blockchain. And so there's all this money that's just there for basically purely for speculation and maybe some decentralized finance, some DeFi. So you could argue the reason why art on ETH has done so well, or even on Tezos, is because there's nothing to do with this crypto a lot of the time, other than make more crypto with it. So here, Robness brings up an important kind of element that, because as we're going to see here, some people aren't happy that there's no pay, that you don't get paid on 0-1. But I mean, I think we know that going in. And if you want to get paid for your art, there's more than enough platforms out there to do that. So I don't see the problem with not getting paid on 0-1 if they just have a different model. Here we see a comment on it. Benoit, would it make sense that artists minting on 0-1 get Avalanche token airdrop, as they're basically building Avalanche reputation and value? Someone at Avalanche is probably flexing those figures on a corporate deck as we speak, asking for a friend. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see, because I think now it's new, it's fun. There probably will be an airdrop, who knows? But one would imagine of some kind, whether it's Avalanche or probably 0-1 platform, one would think, but who knows? People are also reticent to do airdrops right now with all the things going on with the SEC in the US. And here's just one more comment on this last comment we looked at. Long story short, 01 has opened the door to major conversations on art distribution, access to technology, and chain exploration. The team has worked to deliver a solution that has created never seen before growing rates of traffic and engagement. One thing, ultimately, if this doesn't work for the collectors and the artists, probably the artists especially, then that'll drop. So if it works, if people are happy, it'll keep going, right? Like once the novelty wears off, in crypto 2 months later, how many platforms have we seen just in the course of this show that we kind of never heard from again or sporadically hear from? So if I need to try it out and I want to put some work on there. But yeah, all to say, if it works, it works, and maybe we don't even know yet. This alone deserves praise and our thanks. Our community should welcome these conversational challenges as an open discourse, even though being the devil's advocate does often come with a bitter aftertone, which is unfortunate. Right, so again, I don't see why people would complain about this platform, though, not giving the artists money, if I understand the criticism, right? Because there's a million places to make money, so you know what you're getting into going in. I haven't minted there, though, so maybe I'm missing something. I believe in the space's maturity to support the 01 team, while also helping them find constructive criticisms on their growing platform. At least that is what I find as a valuable possible interaction. So interesting debate there. And ex-lawyer, I think now is a great time to release low mid-price editions. The fact is that most collectors are being extremely careful with their money due to economic uncertainty, and it's a lot easier to spend $150 on an edition than $1,500 on a one-of-one. Also a great revenue stream for artists. And I think there's a lot of artists out there that would happily take $150 for their one-of-one. You see it on Tezos. We was going to see a beautiful work by Muji. Less than $150, one-of-one. Dan Control with a cool comment here. We're not NFT artists, we are artists. And with that in mind, I wanted to just bring this up because it's always good to contextualize ourselves within the broader kind of art scene. The 11, outside of, I think, what I like to call, I think Sabato was calling it too, NFT land. The 11 best booths at the Armory show, and I just want to scroll through this. So just so you get a taste, so Pillar Corias Gallery. So these are, according to ArtNet or Artsy, the best booths, okay? So I don't really have too much to comment on. But I just want to give us a taste as we kind of compare and contrast. And what it shows me is there's a lot to be excited about in our scene. Okay. And this is interesting, actually. Here's the name of the gallery. I actually know, I've talked to, let's put it this way, one of these guys in Toronto, the Patel. So these are the pictures we just looked at here. And actually there's a gallery, so you see, I think we stack up really nicely. And this is the Armory show, a major art fair in New York, one of the main art fairs. Michael Cohn Gallery, Patel Brown. And they have a beautiful booth here with this nice kind of almost hieroglyphic writing here. But yeah, I mean, one thing I notice is when I go out to contemporary art, out in the contemporary art scene here in Berlin, I'm always just so grateful for this scene that we have. Because I find for me, it's what really kind of lights up my imagination. Continuing on, just some different kind of ways of working. To Dan Control's point about, we are artists, we're not NFT artists. 0009, did you guys know that I like to paint? I'm thinking of painting some of my AI outputs soon. So interesting. Look at this. So multimedia here with 0009. And here's Walk, also multimedia with a huge work here. What is the title? Ouch. So huge spray paint work, I assume by Walk in a pretty cool studio there. Nice studio. And here is Yuri J on paper. So just cool sketch work from Yuri J. And here's Jeremy Austin, getting ready to spray the wall here. So just really cool. And here's Demon Ego scanner experiments. So, to Dan Control's point, there's lots going on here. And pretty cool experiment, by the way. Sketching, Popple. So here's some digital sketching, and we see that shimmering pixel art with these wonderful monsters, always kind of a bit of a Max Ernst feel to them. This reminds me of the Robing of the Bride, which I would bring up, but we simply don't have time. 8so, doing a massive sale over at 8so.org. So just some more physicals here. So of course, 8so does all those cell phones and the modern furniture series. So just some really cool, what look like Polaroids here. So just cool work here from 8so. Here's his store. You can buy work. I think 8so is out of Montreal. 25% off with glitch sale. And most things are one of ones or close to sold out. So very cool here. And speaking of stores, look at this physical store by Killer Acid. Store number 1 open. So how amazing is that? And you know what's crazy about this? I saw this, I was like, I could actually see this, growing into a whole franchise. So pretty cool and impressive, frankly. And we've seen this many times last week, but here was just another amazing view of this Kareem Safa work on this building in Manchester. Look at, even during the day, they must have an incredible projector here to get this working like this. And they even go underneath. Yeah, look at this. So again, I just wanted to highlight, and just how they got everything just perfectly lined up here. Great, just amazing to look at. And finally, Spiegel's Maskinen here with some cool physical. I guess this is a kind of screen, like a light bright kind of screen that Spiegel's is working with. So just looking awesome and all that beautiful dithering there. Rendered in light. Merry Friday, folks. All right, so let's get started. Dan Control. Farm and Earn, an ambitious, beautiful work. We've seen a few works by Dan Control the last few, week or 2 or 3 of medieval works. And this one is spectacular. Another one. And I think Dan Control, if I wasn't mistaken, was traveling through Italy. And so when I see the grass like this, there's something very kind of, if and again, I wish we had more time, but if we go to Botticelli's The Rite of Spring, I think it's called, The Coming of Spring, and you look at all of the fauna, I think you'd call it, or the plants along the ground, and yeah, because there's another work, and we'll show it in a future episode, that Dan was showing. Just, it looked like he's looking at Italian Renaissance painting, particularly maybe a Botticelli or something. And look at these great flowers, again, using the gradient across. There's something really just great. Of course, he did the dragon, Farm and Earn. So using kind of a crypto idea and then applying it to a medieval context. Still available. They're 18 Tezos each, so not cheap, but these days $12, and look at what you get for it. And look at how huge it is, by the way. This thing is massive. So just more amazing work by Dan Control. This thing is massive. Continuing on, Edmarola Furnace. Continuing with kind of a little bit of a medieval theme, perhaps. So here's a skeleton and also kind of a dragon and a fire. Kind of reminds me of Prague a little bit. And a black flag here and a really cool frame. So just another super cool improvisation by Edmarola. This is edition of 40 for 4 Tezos each, Procreate and Aseprite. So using 2 softwares there. Totally awesome. And this work, Fornax Void, I absolutely loved. Now I have to bring it up on a different screen here. Just awesome. There we go. Fornax Void. Just very, very cool artist. So this loops. Again, I had to bring that up on a different screen because this isn't loading properly. That's because my Chrome is a little It's just cached in a bad way. So, anyways, super cool work. Only 5 Tezos. I picked one up by Fornax Void. And here's another work by this super interesting artist. Again, Fornax Void, in a weird way, reminds me of Hasdrubal Waffle in the sense that it took me time to kind of understand, and a lot of people seem to know and who they are. And here's just another awesome piece. Kind of medieval again. Pretty sure Fornax, yeah, makes the music himself, their self, and I thought I saw, maybe it was in the last one, I thought I saw the JV 2080. Anyway, there are some cool, maybe that was in a different work. So just, he uses, or they use a lot of really interesting sound tech too. Really cool artist. 25 Tezos, edition of 10. Curio Fringe. Speaking of Hasdrubal Waffle, Hasdrubal once did a homage to Curio Fringe, and I think I showed Curio Fringe like a while ago, and people were like, "Oh, again, another artist that I didn't really know about." Really interesting artist here, Lil Guy 2023. So a new one. I missed this one. I don't think we showed it last episode, but we might have. We might have shown it on Twitter, but maybe we already showed this one. It is possible. It's worth showing again. So D. Thibodeau, aka Hasdrubal Waffle, with some really cool works here, a few of them. So this is called Hard Guys. This is an edition of 4. It is, of course, sold out and went for 21 Tezos, and yeah, and the others maybe were sent to people. I'm not sure who owns all these. Yeah, so maybe sent out the others. So just more interesting, again, using kid software, art software for kids, digital painting software for kids. Here's another one. R.I.P. Steve Irwin, Crocodile Rock, Crocodile Hunter. So more interesting pop culture references. Of course, I think the Crocodile Hunter got killed by the manta ray, I think in Australia, near Australia, if I remember right. So interesting, kind of just beautifully rendered here, expertly done as usual. And there's so much to go through here. We can't go too deep in detail. Oje Budjbrv. Frank talks about PFPs, and here again, user interface incorporated into the work. Beautiful pink frame, and then these wonderful pixels, chunky pixels here, with a bit of a kind of TV screen feel to them. Looks like maybe it's using more than one software here because there's different textures. Again, master of digital texture, the great Hasdrubal Waffle, aka D. Thibodeau. And a hilarious work here and I think this was sent to Ilay, and this is, I believe, a one of one, untitled, and there is just another just beautiful painting here, and always like some humor in the work, always kind of mischievous work here, untitled. Continuing on, another work here, Ojojo. So tons, and this is a one of one, and so just to give you a feel, if you've never seen Hasdrubal Waffle's work before, or D. Thibodeau, of just the range here and the different kinds of experimentation here. So semi-abstract, pixelated, different textures, almost feels like a Santiago, as we're going to see here in a second. Let's just see what it went for. 69 Tezos. Nice sale in this market. Very nice sale for Hasdrubal Waffle. And continuing on, massive work here, 18,000 by 13,000, ground and ocean mammals in historical selfie. We're going to close this after we look at it. So kind of a similar feeling, tons of experimentation, kind of an abstract, working with different textures, beautiful colors. Someone just put out like 100 tweet thread on Santiago's work. Check out Santiago's Twitter feed because he retweeted it. It's really interesting. You see how good Santiago is when you look at the 100 works that this guy collected. He's a huge fan. Here's another one by Santiago on Zora. So just more beautiful work. When you see them all together, you see the retrospective that's shaping up here, and we're just getting started here. 6 minted, so looks like a free mint there from Santiago. And here's one more, personal drawing. So it's, you see each work, cool, really nice, interesting. When you see them all together, you're like, holy, this is incredible. Edition of 25, 6 Tezos. And Luciana Guerra and Earthly Temptations. So this is a new work, and she was doing a few that were kind of seemed to be related to Hieronymus Bosch, The Garden of Earthly Delights. So here, again, more experimentation. This was just listed on Super Rare. So a nice, beautiful, interesting, original work here. Again, like, just think of our artsy best booths at the Armory show. Like, I mean, this would fit in more than happily in that whole crowd. Get it for $794, half an ETH, or at least you can hit the reserve at that price. Yuri J with a couple of works here. Warm Light. It's part of a series called Light Stories, and it's an edition of 15 for 15 Tezos. And again, so we see the classic sort of spaces that are filled, that are kind of interesting spaces that each kind of outline is filled with different patterning, and an interesting window here. But the addition, kind of what this series is about, is the light and this kind of gradient that's mixed into the whole work here. And we see it especially on the table here. So a bit of light and shadow in this series. So experimenting with light, warm light, and here's cold light. So you can get both, and maybe you have like the series here. Maybe there's more coming, but you see again this light here. So experimenting and pushing things further here using light. Yuri J, cool work. I asked him to come on the Spaces, but unfortunately he was saying his English could use some work, but hopefully one day we can get him on. Edmarola. So a mating ritual between Cobra and Colorful Demons. So another Edmarola work, so slightly out of order here. And here we see just a cool snake, and look at this vase. So totally experimental here, and almost like a city here, and a dragon, and a really interesting background. When you put out a ton of work, you can just do all sorts of crazy things and not be too precious about it. Made using the watercolor Clint Fulkerson shared on Twitter. And yeah, Clint Fulkerson was like, wow, look at this guy. Look at Edmarola. And watch me draw here. So how cool is this? This is super cool. Here's another Edmarola work, Kataruk. And I love this piece. And a guy riding what looks like some sort of ancient, cat or Assyrian kind of mythological beast of sorts. Not sure what here. And a guy with a mustache and a tree and a beautifully textured green background here. A wonderful digital painting here, only an edition of 5, still available on Primary for 20 Tezos, $13. Nice low edition, beautiful work. Another digital painting here. This is by Vargard, who I don't think I've seen before. I saw this on Twitter, Hijacker. And again, kind of has a bit of a creme du creme sort of feel to it, a little pirate flag here. And on a golf cart, and 3 figures with balaclavas and maybe an explosion in the background. Really has a creme de creme feel to it. Hijacker by Vargard, edition of 15, and I believe this sold out at 5 Tezos each. Very cool. New work by Rat Cloak, and this is going right now for 100 Tezos. Only 26 minutes left, so we'll see if there's a bidding war at the end here. This is a 1 of 1 that Rat Cloak has done, and kind of continuing with this target practice theme. Very, very dark work here from Rat Cloak. Immortal Face number 8, not so immortal after all. So actually kind of a terrifying work from Rat Cloak. 100 Tezos so far. Sumi Ryusi, Between Life and Death. And here is a digital work. And of course, we know Sum from a lot of her AI work. So going back to her roots a little bit, with some of this work here, a digital painting, almost like illustration, and there you see a little carousel, interesting kind of symbolism everywhere. Between Life and Death, great title, available for 10 Tezos, and 10 are available on Primary. An interesting illustration here kind of reminded me of Adelia, and kind of has a comic book feel to it. See this? It's almost like that whole kind of manga anime sort of look here. This is Itami Gomi, and I'm not sure what it says. Fuku Ru, so just cool beautiful art here. It'd be great to see that minted. And here's someone called Exponential with just a cool illustration here, animated illustration on Twitter. Timothy Julien, Fragrance, interesting title, and it continues to be super interesting in its experimentation. He's putting out a lot, and here we see the palm trees and architecture, that familiar patterning here, and it's almost starting to look like, not quite cubist, but here we're starting, you see how there's the pool chairs, and then the pool is starting to look at a different angle, almost slightly cubist here. Interesting. Buy now for 7 Tezos. I guess that's on secondary. And yes, that is on secondary. And someone sent me this, Kirill Ukolov, Lynx 7, a GIF, and just an interesting work here as someone brings coffee. 2 figures here, kind of an illustration. Nice piece. Thank you for sending that to me. Whoever that was, buy now for only a Tezos, edition of 20. There are 5 left. Continuing on GloomTube, it's all good. So another interesting piece here with the Shell gas station, McDonald's, 7-Eleven, Burger King, and 55515, not sure what that means, and the Earth with a halo on it, with this new kind of spray paint noise style here by GloomTube, always keeping us guessing here, and happy in his corporate sort of world here. Continuing on, PP Universal, Gwen Stefani's chair, and interesting use of gradient, almost like, did you see the gradient here? And that's being, it looks like it's being mixed a little bit with this kind of semi-collage style here. So just another interesting piece from PP Universal that is available for 8 Tezos. There are 2 left on primary edition of 5. And here's Human Boy, made in GIMP, and there are, how many of these? 2 left at 5 Tezos each, and this just cool piece of paper here with cool, kind of almost like a picture of a screen going on here, and nice patterning, just interesting work from Human Boy. Continuing on, Bleu and Cap'n work together here, Unstable Corridor. So I wonder, this looks like Cap'n here, and maybe these pieces in here, and maybe this figure here, hard to say, but you almost do get the sense of when you see the pixels moving, that is probably Cap'n. I assume Bleu did the structure on the outside and the general outline layout. So that is an edition of 20 for 7 Tezos each. Unstable Corridor, cool kind of metaphysical work. Here's some interesting pixel art here. So this is Emmy.pixel, Beauty and Simplicity. So this is the first one. Look at how gorgeous this is, right? And then we go to the next one, and you see, so you see kind of like an earlier version. It kind of just goes to show, and I've been see that work I showed you at the start, 20 women who forgot? Like, I realized I can make like 50 different versions of these things. And I'm not sure what to do about that. Like, once you have the work, then you can kind of like, do you put out 50 different versions? I'm not sure, but maybe you do. Maybe you follow the digital logic, so to speak. What is the infinitely reproducible, infinitely remixable? Yeah. So just gets me wondering. It just gets me wondering. So continuing on, look at this beautiful work here by Emmy.pixel. So good morning, dreamers. So showing the progress here and a nice, beautiful, original, beautiful dithering, nice landscape. Here's Anis Abdin, Martian Terrain, 4 colors, pixel art. So look at this, and Anis Abdin using only 4 colors. I mean, amazingly. And look at how kind of full it looks from a color perspective. Looks like it has the full spectrum almost. Beautiful work, Martian Terrain, great subject matter, and there is the signature over there. Awesome pixel artist. Here's another one. Always wanted to draw space in green. Always wanted to challenge myself mixing green with orange. Sahara Black Hole Rise pixel art combined both, also accepted at Metaculture Museum in Paris, which is awesome. Congrats to Anis Abdin. I'm not sure if I've heard of the Metaculture Museum, but anyway, very cool work. And I think we have another one, 1960 Bwick. So just really cool pixel art here from Anis Abdin. And one more here. So just a tour here on Twitter, and here's some just cool boats in what looks like Amsterdam or a port somewhere. And here is another ship. This is Guandanarian with a flying ship in the sky, seemingly. We can relate to that over here on this show. And look at this. I mean, this framing. I mean, what's the main show here? The content here, or this unbelievably awesome frame, this almost, as I like to call them, pixel art factory. Look at that. So this is gorgeous. Is this new? No, it's not. I thought maybe I'd seen this before. This is probably posted on Twitter. Solitude Reimagined. So this is actually an older work here, but look at that. Guandonarian, if you've never seen their work before. It's Gallo, also known as at Gallo and Stuff, with some really interesting kind of pixelated animated abstracts here. So circuits here, and also posted on Twitter, Alien. So just interesting abstracts, pixel art abstracts. And another one, Stretching. This is by Loak Me, which could easily hang in the same room here. So just more super cool work here. Again, always, just for contrast, don't forget about that artsy story we were looking at the start. That's how well this scene is doing. Low trippy, Flowers for the Grave. So interesting pixel artwork with interesting kind of lighting here. It's interesting how the animation is almost just in these kind of like this little area of three in the three first tiles, but not in the bottom tiles. So just kind of, again, it's using the dynamic and contrasting it with the static. And here you have kind of a flower figure. Speaking of flowers, look at this. Another gorgeous work here by Cap'n, also known as Plants. And here we just see just so simple and so beautiful. The plant with no name. And look at these great flowers here. I want to say like Warhol would be proud. And look at this great like green pixelation, huge chunky pixels here. And look at the beautiful basket and the earth and the bricks. It's brilliant. This almost feels like an RJ, but who is this? This is Tofu. Random Pinterest shirt study, but it kind of looks like Asterion. So maybe it's someone else. Not sure who it is, if it's Tofu Pixel or someone else, but pretty nice still life, right? Pretty nice pixel art still life. Continuing on, and just like a pixel art landscape here. What's kind of interesting about this? I probably get more delight out of this than if I'm in a museum and I'm looking at like a 17th or 18th century, pastoral landscape. That's, sepias and everything. Maybe it's just because it's fresher. It's different, Fall is here. This is Julian, the artist Julian. Julian Combs Open. And here, this is live pixel art. This is by Arcade Pixels. So I assume there's a lot of pixel art that is on Twitter that doesn't get minted. And I really like the message in this one. Everything will be all right. It's like the older you get, the more like little messages like this are like, soothing art here, and another nice pixel art landscape. Look at this. This is the work I was talking about, I believe, at the start of this show, this one of one by Muji, 177 Tezos for $116. Look at this. You can own this one of one for $116 and just pretty awesome. Beautiful work, pretty original. This nice kind of moon in the background. Beautiful, beautiful work here. Prismatic Ancient Trap Door. Ancient Tech and Mech Device. And here's another one with beautiful color here. That turquoise, or whatever that blue is just gorgeous. That almost desaturated blue contrasting with this rainbow here. Urban Architecture, cool title. And look at the pixels in here. Really nice work here from Yuji, edition of 10 for 10 Tezos. I think back on the scene after a little break, and this is on 01 Le Chat Noir. So this was brought on, and just a nice kind of black and white animated, I guess it's not an animated abstract, it's probably just water here. So very cool. And here's an animated abstract, and pretty cool kind of geometric, right? With this great kind of prismatic prism colors here. Pretty psychedelic work, kind of makes a spiral. This is by Dave, also known as Bees and Bombs. We've seen their work before. And here is Feels on Super Rare. And this is also new. So how cool is this? So Feels on Super Rare. Looking great. Pink Magic Energy, Awaken with Hidden Feelings, Sacred Space. Totally original. Animated abstract. Kazuhiro Ehara. So we were looking at some of those kind of half-finished, well, what looked like kind of sketch underneath with different colors of paint, different versions. If you remember, I think it was last episode, Kazuhiro Ehara. So here's another work. Really kind of bold, experimental, challenging pixel art here. Well, I don't know if it's pixel art, digital art. Let's call it that. Animated abstract art. Beautiful. And this is awesome. Ugo is back with a meme. Quaalude, the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, clumsily tries to get into his white Lamborghinis. Yeah, so this is a bit of a meme. My friend Ben has painted this scene. And yeah, so here applying this kind of new technique here from Ugo in this new series, looking great. And this is an edition of 10, and there are 4 left at 10 Tezos each. And here's a car by Ugo. So kind of a yellow, maybe Lamborghini or something. So just another cool, use of this style here. Trying out lots of things. And this is an edition of 10, and 1 is available for 10 Tezos. Haiti Rocket with a glitch ROM, Nintendo glitch ROM. At first I thought that said RAD 2020, but it says RAID 2020. It almost should say RAD 2020. So machine gun, and here's a car. So just a nice kind of cool update. Winners, cool title. Now 54 Tezos on secondary from Haiti Rocket. And here's Silva Santu's glitchboarding. So more Nintendo glitch ROMs here. So a really rough one, and it looks great. I always love like the driving or the flying or like kind of like the racing games. They always kind of have this extra excitement. Tommy Moe's Winter Extreme Skiing and Snowboarding for Super NES. And here's another one by Silva Santu's Stellar System. I thought this was quite brilliant too, and could almost fit with our medieval theme. You almost see a lot of medieval drawings that kind of have this kind of cosmological feel to them. Great choice of subject matter here from Silva Santu's, and nicely done. The planets orbiting the sun. This is from SNES and Stellar System. And here's a super cool work by Chris War and Mika Aladev. I think Chris did the audio. Let's get the audio going. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nice combo. Very nice combo. That music it's a very nice collaboration there. So that's a 1 of 1, and let's just see what happened here. Sold for 105 Tezos to Eli Trader. So, and that went to the Bijou collection there. So very nice piece. And that was after an auction. So very nice piece. Klaus, AXD number 01. So just a very cool kind of lo-fi video glitch work. Kind of big chunky pixels. Very cool. And here is Eitzo, who we were seeing with the store at the start. And I love this work, especially these pixels up here in this green screen. They're just beautiful. Or this, masking or this video glitch, whatever you want to call it. The colors in this one are awesome. And again, that warm gray, still available for 25 Tezos. Hold on. V60i by Motorola 2002. Beautiful piece. Here's another one with great music. This is Gino, who I don't think we've heard from before, Glitchiology. And listen to this. This is 2 minutes, so we can't play the whole thing. This could be like a trance party in the 90s. This could be a Goa party. This is the chill room at the Goa party. Look at how great this looks. Ambitious. This could have been like 10 different works. Nice track. Reminds me of the Safdie Brothers, if anybody knows the Safdie Brothers. Yeah, that speaks to me. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. From Gino. And that is an edition of 40. And it's been offered for 10 and 1 has been accepted. So the rest are, Gino has 37, so you can probably still get one. Continuing on, Porta Malmar incorporating AI. So, of course, we know Porta Malmar as a collage artist, but now incorporating AI art. And maybe they were doing that before. I'm not sure. I kind of suspected maybe they were. But here you see they are listing it and making it clear. A couple of volcanoes here. So, AI collage. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So, here's another one, post collage AI art. So we saw spectral, what do we call it? Spectral pastiche now, using AI. And so here's like post collage AI using maybe AI elements. Like how brilliant would that be? One of one. Actually, so I think this was sent to me. Thank you, Porta Malmar. Thank you for watching. I assume you're watching, so thank you. It's beautiful. I didn't even realize when I put this in that you had sent this to me. White Solitude, The Last Dance, one of one. So another just beautifully painted work here from White Solitude, who I don't know how they get these incredible paint textures, but they do. And they do a great job at that. The Last Dance, great title, a one of one for 40 Tezos. As we zoom to the finish line here, Mopey Wellington Opportunity. And so great to see Mopey Wellington's work with kind of, this is AI artwork as well. Kind of has a bit of a, for lack of a better term, maybe a Renoir, you see, especially, or Monet even a little bit in the sky there. Beautiful work, really reminiscent of the Impressionists. And there a moon. So again, this is an AI artwork, AI assisted. Opportunity in the right place at the right time. And there's the cat with the bird. So a whole other narrative going on there. Let's just see what it sold for. Just transferred to Scooney. And Mr. Shapeless, Memories of the Future, with a couple of works here on Twitter, beautifully painted. I want to say, even though it's like probably raw AI, a more brilliant work from Mr. Shapeless, just an awesome artist. Again, the Wanderer figure, which is trademarked now, and this almost wheat field at the bottom. And here, Lily Illo, Into the Garden. Beautiful work here too, as the AI artists continue to push forward and continue to keep it interesting. I mean, brilliant. It's looking very painterly. And we've seen a few AI artists kind of go in this painterly direction, and I love it. We see Mikey Wilson with that amazing work, I think, from last time. So that's what I try and do as well. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes when I'm in the AI in Midjourney, that's what I'm trying to do. And look, it's Luma, who I haven't seen on for a while. All of a sudden I saw appear in my feed. And Lume is a really cool, I believe, AI artist as well. So just great to see them again. And here you can recognize the artist Strange Thing with keeping experimenting, keeping it interesting. And here we have basically a neoclassical bust on top of a very modern speaker here. And more neoclassical busts here on top of a modern, these marble speakers here. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, as usual, from Strange Thing. And here is another piece. So continuing with the kind of Renaissance classical, I guess we'd call this a classical theme. It does look quite, this looks neoclassical. You can tell it almost looks like those 18th century like French hairstyles, right? Into some physical works here. Look at this, Albion Works. So interesting artist. This just looks like some marker. Beautiful. So again, I'm kind of back. Look at this, just like this, take note of this awesome marker here. I'm kind of back to, the Armory show. And I just think everything is stacking up. What I'm seeing on Instagram, what I'm seeing digitally, everything is stacking up beautifully. It's an interesting contrast, isn't it? Look at this. In this awesome PlayStation here as a graphite on tone paper by Julian Adone Alexander at Snakebone. Just a, interesting composition here. You assume this is the guy that's playing the PlayStation. This person wants prints. Okay, so this work is selling. And of course, David Hales, someone I've long followed on Instagram, puts out more beautiful watercolor and illustration works. Looks like watercolor and ink. Who's there? So keeping it beautiful and interesting from David Hales. And here's an artist I've never seen. I think Dan Control tweeted this out. Machine. Mint for 0.1, and there's an edition, and you can mint one too. This looks like physical, doesn't it? But really nicely done. Would hang awesomely with walk, and this really cool content, right? The high heel with the Nike sock. Great contrast. I knew a person here in Berlin, and she was super cool. And what she would do is she would mix low with high, in a sense, like kind of, it's really fancy stuff with really kind of low stuff, and kind of, or like basic, like a Nike sock with a high heel, for example. It was a really cool contrast. And here, of course, is Walk GM with another cool work here, and looking like maybe a motorbiker here celebrating a win or something. Not sure. Looking beautiful as usual. And Joao Salazar, can you see how much work there was in the last 3 days? This is a work in progress. This beautiful, I believe it's a painting. This looks like a painting. It's amazing how similar, actually, Joao makes their painting works and their plasticine works look. They really fit well together. Work in progress here from Joao Salazar. And that, my friends, is your show. We got through it. Thank you for joining me. Maybe I'll see you at the Keith Haring Hangout tonight with Sabato and Xerox. Until next time, take care.